Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Cosgrove and I am back with my coaching reality series called From a Coach's Perspective. Today, I want to talk about a controversial topic. It's actually a topic that got me in a little bit of hot water last week when I posted a Instagram reel talking about whether or not your trainer is actually training you or if they're wasting your time. All right, so I had a little backlash from a certain trainer who I'm not going to name, who called me a gym bully for explaining why I believe people should not be paying $100+ an hour for premium personal training when they're getting 7-Eleven personal training. I was talking about excessive warm-ups, ridiculous cool downs, playing on bands and stretching nonstop. And the problem is that a lot of people who come to work with trainers, they do it because they're short on time. They want to get results. They either want to lose fat, build muscle, a combination of the two. They want to get stronger. They want to improve their overall health and fitness. Sure, there's a time for warm-ups, there's a time for cool downs, but in my opinion, these are things that can be done on your own. Okay, so you don't need someone standing there watching you while you're walking on a treadmill for 5 minutes to warm up, nor do you need someone that's standing there watching you while you roll on a foam roller to stretch out your quadriceps or roll out your tendons. Okay, these are things that people can do on their own. Sure, a lot of people will not do them on their own, but as a trainer, it's your job to try to motivate people to come in a little bit earlier, warm up, or stay a little bit after their workouts and cool down. Okay. Now, I want to go through the five, in my opinion, the five most important signs that your trainer is wasting your time. So I put together five, okay, because again, I'm trying to keep my coaching reality episodes to 15, 20 minutes max. I know sometimes I go a little bit longer, but I will try my best to keep these episodes short, quick, just like my YouTube shorts. But also don't forget though, I am posting up YouTube shorts on a daily basis. So if you want to check out my content there, I've got some tips on training, dietary nutrition. There's a new post every day on my YouTube shorts, along with my Instagram reels, my Instagram posts, of course, the no filter Q&A that comes out every Monday, coaching reality episode that comes out every Wednesday, as well as my weekly blog that comes out on our website every Friday. All right, so check that out. Always pumping out content as much as I can, free information. I'm here to help. I'm here to educate. I'm also here to learn. So I'm always willing to get feedback from others, and that's why I'm responding to the certain feedback that I got in a DM from this particular trainer. All right, so sign number one that your trainer is wasting your time: excessive warm-ups. You do not need to warm up for 15 to 20 minutes on a foam roller. You do not need to warm up walking on a treadmill. You do not need to warm up by performing dynamic stretches for 10 minutes or playing with a rubber band. You can warm up with weights. Yes, bodybuilders have been doing it for years. It's called pyramid sets. You start off light, you build your weight up gradually each ascending set. I do it all the time with clients. Knock on wood, I've never had a client injure themselves in the gym, ever. 20 plus years of doing this job, never had one person injure themselves in the gym, ever. The only times people injure themselves is outside the gym, and I include myself in that. The most injuries I see are always outside of the gym, not inside the gym. Because inside the gym, you're paying attention, or you should be paying attention to what you're doing, okay? Or your trainer should be paying attention to what you're doing to make sure that you're doing proper form, proper technique, proper execution, okay? Breathing tempo, etc. So when I see injuries, it's usually outside the gym. Because sometimes we can't control things that happen outside the gym. You trip on something outside, you go to sit down and maybe it's a broken chair, whatever it may be, right? So that's when injuries happen, maybe at the workplace, okay, the door hits you, whatever it may be. But that's when I see injuries, okay? So I don't see anyone really injuring themselves in the gym with me anyway. I have seen people get injured in the gym, but not working with me. So excessive warm-ups could be, like I said, rolling on a foam roller, 10, 15 minutes, waste of time. Don't need to do that. Walking on a treadmill, 5, 10 minutes, waste of time. Don't need to do that. Playing with rubber bands, getting that rotator cuff warmed up, waste of time. Why not utilize that time to warm up with weights while you're still building muscle, still training for hypertrophy, still training for power, strength, fitness, health, okay? Because playing on a foam roller, walking on a treadmill will not do shit, okay? You are there to learn. You are there to train. You are not there to play on foam rollers, play with rubber bands, and walk on treadmills. Do that on your own time. Okay. So if your trainer is doing any of these things for excessive periods of time, they're wasting your time. Now, if you, the client, are interested in learning how to utilize a foam roller, by all means. I mean, I've had clients ask me, can I show them how to use the rollers? And absolutely, I will. But you know what? That takes about 5 minutes to me to show them how to do different movements on that roller. Then they've got it for life. They don't need me to show them again. And if they do, if they forget how to do something, I'll show them. But we're not going to spend 15 minutes doing it. Okay. So, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory how to use a foam roller. There's tons of YouTube videos. I put up tons of videos on how to use them too. So free right there. You don't even have to pay me for them. It's free education. Okay. So you don't need to go into a gym, pay $100+ an hour to work with your trainer while you're rolling around on a roller, walking on that treadmill, or playing with rubber bands. Ridiculous, not necessary, excessive warm-ups, get rid of them immediately. Let your trainer know, I don't need that. Let's warm up with weights. Sign number two that your trainer is wasting your time. Random circuits. I say this time and time again to my clients. Your circuits have to make sense. You cannot just make it up as you go. And I can tell you from someone who's been in this industry for 20+ years, I know anatomy and I know physiology. And I know when someone's supersetting or circuit training, when a combination or sequence pattern does not make sense. I'll give you a perfect example. Someone's doing a barbell military press. Immediately they go on to station two, they're doing a barbell chest press. Hold on. That to me makes zero sense. So you're telling me you're going to stimulate your anterior deltoids, go right into another exercise and go right into your chest and work your pecs where you're still working your anterior deltoids. Asking for injury. Okay. Your circuit has to make sense. So a better combination would be barbell military press and then maybe with some rear delt raises. You got a superset there. Then you could finish up with maybe some upright rows if you're trying to work shoulders. Right there, there's three stations. You've got anterior deltoids, posterior deltoids, which is agonist versus antagonist of the shoulder blades, and your trapezius. All right. So you're not utilizing the exact same muscles. You're training the same muscle group, but you're not working the exact same head of the shoulders. So your anterior deltoid gets a break when you work your posterior deltoid. Okay. Your posterior deltoid and your anterior deltoid get a break when you're working your trapezius. Yes, they're all working indirectly, but none of them are working directly. Whereas if you're doing a barbell military press and then a bench press, you are going to use your anterior deltoids. Yes, a bench press is chest, but you're also going to use your anterior deltoids. You can see mine moving right now when I do it. Okay. So it doesn't make sense. So when I see trainers putting together circuits that I know don't make sense, I think I have two trains of thoughts. One, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Or two, the gym is busy and they're just making it up on the fly. And I've seen this time and time again, people making up circuits on the fly. I understand if you yourself are new to the gym and you're not too sure what you're doing, I get that. Okay, and you're doing a circuit and you're not too sure. I see beginners doing that all the time. But a trainer is not a beginner. A trainer should be educated, certified, insured, and understand anatomy and physiology. So if they're putting together bullshit circuits that make no sense, you have to question them. If something doesn't feel right, and I can promise you, if you're doing a combination like that barbell military press and the barbell chest press, if that doesn't feel right, you got to tell your trainer, like, hey, something's bothering me. My shoulder really hurts when I'm doing this. It's not good pain. And you have to be able to establish between good pain and bad pain. Okay. So working the joints in back-to-back exercises, not a good idea. All right. So bullshit circuits have to go. Now, again, if you're not too sure, because again, you're the client, you might not know. You're like, oh, is this the way to go? What I always tell people is this: if you're going to do a circuit, the best way to do it, agonist versus antagonist muscle groups. So, for example, when I do a circuit with clients, I'll do chest versus back. So, I'll do an incline barbell chest press, a lat pull down, then we might move to a low incline dumbbell fly, and then we'll go into a seated row. If I've got the gym empty and I can circuit train at 4 stations. If the gym is busy and I can just do supersets, I'll just do like an incline barbell bench press with a lat pull down, back and forth. 3 or 4 rounds, move on to our next superset. Agonist versus antagonist muscle groups. I'm going to utilize my client's time in the gym efficiently. I'm going to train the chest and back safely because I'm not overworking the joints, tendons, and ligaments. Circuits have to make sense. Bullshit circuits have to go. Reason number three, your trainer is wasting your time. No progression tracking. Okay, so I know a lot of trainers like to use the iPads. They like to track everything, weights, and listen, I don't do that myself. I really don't. You ask anyone that works with me. I never record anything in the gym. As I talked about in the No Filter Q&A earlier this week, I go by intuitive training in the gym when it comes to myself and even when it comes to my clients. But it still has to make sense. Okay. So that's just years and years of experience. I don't need to record my clients' weights because I have an idea in my head what my clients are lifting. Also, how much they're lifting is irrelevant to me because there's going to be days where I completely mix up the order of the exercises we're doing. Again, it has to make sense. But if I start your workout with barbell back squats one day, your leg workout, and I finish with them the next week, you're not going to be squatting the same weight. So what you squatted last week is irrelevant to me. Okay, it's a brand new week, it's a brand new workout. So I don't track weights. I have a general idea of where to start people because most clients I've been working with have been working with me for 10 plus years. So I know their weights. So I don't need to record them. But there should be some form of tracking. So what I do with my online clients, we have a weekly check-in, okay, where they send me twice a week. So I can see what their weight is at, what their energy levels are at, how they're sleeping, how they're recovering. Are they feeling like anything with like constipation, right? Are they having any IBS issues? Is their strength going up or down in the gym? All right. So all these are metrics that I use to program accordingly for the following week. So we are tracking progression. But with my clients who work with me in house, I know their progression. I can see them every day. They work with me 3, 4 times a week. I can tell if they're not losing weight, right? Oh, you're not losing weight. What are you doing with your diet? Okay, let's change this. Let's track this. Let's move this. Okay. So we're constantly tracking progression. Okay. So, like I said, tracking progression doesn't necessarily have to mean recording everything down. But as long as you're communicating with your trainer or your trainer's communicating with you, and together you're trying to figure out how to troubleshoot through maybe you've hit a weight loss plateau, or maybe you are trying to build your strength in the gym and it's not going up and you've hit a plateau with that. Okay. Or maybe your cholesterol levels are really high and you're trying to bring them down naturally. So these are things that your trainer should be trying to help you troubleshoot through. Okay. And provide you with as much information as he or she can from their years of experience and knowledge working in the fitness industry and health industry to help you surpass these health issues or plateaus that you've hit in the gym or outside of the gym. Okay, so you need to track progress. Like I said, it doesn't have to be recorded in a diary, but if your trainer's truly paying attention, they should have a general idea of where you're at in the gym. And if they're working with you online, there definitely should be a metric system. So there should be a weekly check-in, should be a form. I have all my clients, some of my clients have worked with me online for 15 plus years now. I have their check-in forms from day one. I save them all, always. I save all their photos. Rarely, if ever, do I post them on social media. I'm not that type of trainer. Not knocking anyone that does that. That's not, I don't believe in really doing that for marketing purposes. If a client wants to do that and track and post a photo of their own progress photos, they can do that and tag me. That's fine. But I just don't like doing that. I don't like using that as a marketing tool. My clients know my work speaks for itself. I work with them and they can see the results in the progress photos. Okay, and I talk about the importance of taking progress photos for yourself, regardless if you're working with a coach or not. That is a great metric, and in my opinion, it's the best metric to use if you're trying to go through a physique transformation, weekly progress photos. Okay, so progression tracking is crucial. If your trainer's not doing that, you're wasting your time. All right, sign number 4, too much talking. Kind of like what I do on the No Filter Q&A, kind of what I do on the Coaching Reality series. Too much talking in between sessions, not my thing though. Very rarely will I tell a client about my weekend or about what's going on in my life. If they ask me, sure. I try to keep it short though, and I don't want it to become a distraction in the workout. Now, if the client wants to talk to me about what's going on in their life, they can. But I still try to keep them moving. I still try to remind them you're here to train. So if you feel that you can multitask and you can talk to me while you're squatting, do it. Most can't, but some can. Again, this is not social hour. This is time to train. If you book a 60-minute session with me and I spend half of it talking about my weekend or talking about what I'm going to do next week or talking about my relationship, I mean, that's distracting and it's bullshit. It's information you don't need. At the same time, if I'm over teaching, as in over instructing, which I see a lot of times, trainers going through like 15, 20 minutes to explain how to do an exercise, I'm like, oh my God, the client isn't even sweating. They do a whole workout and haven't broken a sweat because there's so much verbal instruction going on. And what I've always done with my clients is if I'm teaching a new exercise, I'll give them a few cues at first. What I feel are the very important cues. So, for example, if I'm teaching, let's say, a bent over barbell row, that's a very complex exercise, right? Not one that I give to beginners. So I'll start them with like 2 or 3 cues at the beginning while I'm demonstrating the exercise. They'll usually remember 1 or 2 of those cues. Then we do it again, and I'll remind them of the 3 cues. Second round, they get it. They got all 3. Third round, I'll add another cue in. Okay. Okay. Now we got 4 cues. And if it's a really complex exercise, it can be anywhere from 5 to 6 cues. But I do it in little steps. Otherwise, it's information overload. And so rather than giving someone 6 cues all at once, they're like, what the hell? What's step 1? What's step 5? Break it down easily. Okay. Just break it down easily. You train them properly, and they don't need to learn how to do perfect form from day one. They don't. They'll pick it up as they go. That's why you start beginners with lighter weights so they don't injure themselves. right? But at the same time, they're going to get a workout because, okay, this is a new exercise. Now we're going to go to this exercise over here, which is also a new exercise, but I'm going to combine that with an exercise that you know. Now we're doing three stations. Or if it's three exercises they've never done before, I might throw in a complex exercise with very simplified movement, let's say like a dumbbell curl. There's not much instruction that needs to be done for dumbbell curl, right? And then something else that's like a little bit less straining. So that could be something like, okay, so you're going to do, let's say, a tricep cable rope extension, you're doing arms and a dumbbell curl, and now you want to do one more for the triceps. Let's go for some skull crushers. Now, the skull crushers are more of the complex exercise of the three. So that's going to take a little bit more cues, a little bit more instruction. The other two, I mean, they're not very complex. Dumbbell curl, rope extensions, right? Maybe two, maybe three cues max. So you want to make sure that you keep the talking to a minimum. And like I said, I don't just mean the talking about your weekends and talking about your personal life. I mean the instruction too. Because again, you are there to train. The less time, or I should say, the more time you take away from actually lifting the damn weights, the less results you're going to get. Period. I don't care what people say. I don't care if someone says, well, I'm there to learn. I'm like, yeah, you're there to learn, but you're also there to get results. You're not going to get results if you're standing there listening to someone talk about an exercise. It's not going to happen. Okay. You need to do the damn exercise and you need to do it a lot. You need to do lots of sets, lots of reps, lots of volume. The average client that works with me in the gym gets a minimum 40 sets in a 60-minute workout. To me, any less than that is failure on my part because I'm not doing my job to push them to do more volume, more sets. I should easily be able to get them to knock out 40 sets in 60 minutes. Obviously, if they're a beginner, no. But if they're working with me in their intermediate advanced, they've been with me for, let's say, 2 or 3 months, yes, they should be getting at least 40 sets. Okay. And you can't do 40 sets if you're yapping away, talking, or if you're constantly instructing on how to do exercises. Not going to happen. Okay. So you're there to train. If you're not training, you're not going to get results, period. And your trainer is wasting your time. All right. Reason number five, the fifth and final reason, workouts are designed to entertain, not transform. I think a lot of new trainers are guilty of this, and I understand because if you're a new trainer and you're trying to build up your clientele base, you second guess yourself. And I did this at the beginning of my first probably 2 years of training. I always thought I had to keep the workouts fresh, I had to keep the workouts interesting. But then I learned that by doing that, I was kind of going off what I know as what was going to help someone build muscle, lose fat. And to build muscle and lose fat, sometimes it's a boring process, period. But what I learned was that's my job. It's my job to help that person transform their physique. So if I'm just trying to constantly give them new exercises and trying to give them TikTok exercises and what's cool on YouTube and all this bullshit, standing on Bosu with one leg and doing these upside down handstand bullshit, I'm like, that belongs in a circus. That doesn't belong in the gym. All right. My job is to help you transform your physique, improve your health, improve your fitness, and improve your quality of life. I'm not here to entertain you. So whenever I've had, it's rarely, but whenever I've had a client say, oh, can we mix things up? I'm like, no, this is my plan. This is what we're doing. I'm willing to compromise on a few exercises, but I'm not going to give you something that you saw on TikTok because it looks cool. I can't in honestly, my morals are like, no, this, because I know it's not going to work. I know it's not going to do anything. And it's going to just, to me, it's going to risk injury. It's not going to build muscle. It's not going to help you lose fat. It's a pointless movement. Okay. And I am talking about exercises where you're doing those upside down handstands or where you're doing balancing acts on a Bosu ball. You want to do that? Go see a physiotherapist. Don't see a trainer. Sounds like you might want to do some rehab work, and that's fine. Like, so someone's trying to get back their balance, or maybe they were in a car accident and are dealing with injury. I get it for sure, absolutely. Go see a physio for that, or maybe there are some trainers that specialize in that. Great, you're working with someone who might have a physical limitation or an injury. I get it, that's fine. But if you are the average person who knows they need to lose like 30, 50 pounds, your ass balancing on a Bosu ball for 10, 15 minutes is not going to help you lose that weight. It's not. It's not going to help you build muscle. It's not. Okay. You might improve your balance, but is that what you're going to the gym to do? No. So make sure your trainer understands that is not your goal. Okay. Your goal is not to be in the circus. Your goal is to lose fat, build muscle, improve your health, improve your fitness, overall well being, and quality of life. In order to do that, you need to lift the goddamn weights. You need to bench press. You need to squat. You need to do barbell military presses, dumbbell curls, tricep extensions, hell, even deadlifts if you want. You need to do the compound lifts. That is what is going to give you more bang for your buck, period. Okay. And I know as a new trainer, I used to shy away from a lot of that stuff because I'm like, well, I don't want to, intimidate the clients and I don't want them to, constantly be too sore. I'm like, by year three, I was like, excuse me, but F that bullshit. Okay. Because I'm like, no, no, these people are paying you because they know that you know what you're doing. Okay. Because I've been able to build a fairly decent physique, and it wasn't from doing upside down push-ups in the gym. It wasn't from playing with battle ropes. It wasn't any of that stuff. Okay. So if someone wants to work with me and say, hey, Nick, I really want to build my physique, I'm going to give them stuff that I know works. They're paying me to help them. And I can't, in good faith, be like, oh, yeah, let's go and do this fancy exercise. So I don't do that. And if I ever have a client that says, well, I want to do that, I'm like, I'm not the trainer for you. I have no problem refunding someone for unused sessions. I've said this time and time again. Okay. It's never happened, but if someone books a package and let's say they book a 50 session package and by session number 4 or 5, they're like, this is not for me, I will gladly refund their money for those 45 other sessions. No questions asked. Okay. Because I know that for me to do my job efficiently, I have to do what I'm confident in teaching. It's the same thing if someone comes to me and says, I want to be a power lifter. I'm like, well, that's great for you, but I don't teach powerlifting. So I'm not the coach for you. Or CrossFit. I don't teach CrossFit. I don't know a thing about CrossFit. So I would be doing a disservice by teaching someone CrossFit exercises. That's not my thing. I teach bodybuilding movements. And again, I want to clarify, I don't mean bodybuilding as in getting on stage, greased up, fake oil, fake, or just not fake, no, greased up in oil and fake tan. I don't mean that. I mean bodybuilding movements. That's going to transform your physique. Okay. And that's, believe it or not, that's what most people want to do when they go to the gym. They want to see results. If you want to see results, you got to train like a bodybuilder, period. No, you're not going to get ridiculous big and muscular. That's not going to happen. But you are going to get leaner. You're going to get solid, dense muscle. You're going to get a leaner waist. Okay. You're going to lose body fat. But in order to do that, you have to do the bodybuilding movements, period. You want to do CrossFit? Do CrossFit. You want to do powerlifting? Do powerlifting. Do it. Do Legree. Do Pilates. Do yoga. Do whatever you like. But if you're working with a trainer to transform your physique, they have to take your goal seriously. All right? Period. So excessive warm-ups, nonstop talking, circuits that don't make sense, these are things that have to be eliminated. Okay. So you have to watch for these things when you're working with your trainer. And don't be afraid to call the trainer on it. Okay. You are the client, you are the customer. We work for you. Remember that. You don't work for us, we work for you. Okay. So all my clients, I'm not their boss, they're my boss. Okay. I can tell them what I believe to be the best way to get them from point A to point B. That's my job. But at the end of the day, I know that they are my boss, period. Okay. So I answer to them, they don't answer to me. And that's the relationship that it should be. All right. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about that because I did get a little bit of pushback on that from a certain trainer. And again, and I talked to this trainer privately through DM, and I'm not going to call this personnel. They're entitled to their opinion. And I even said, I'd gladly have you on my channel and we can debate this. And that's fine. They didn't want to do that. And that's okay. I respect that. But the thing is that I'm not a gym bully. I'm just giving my opinion. You can give your opinion. You can say, hey, Nick, what you're teaching is wrong. That's fine. I might challenge you on it, okay? But it's always good, I think, to have an open conversation, freedom of speech. I'm not bashing anyone. I didn't call any single person out, particularly on social media. I would never do that. That's not my style, okay? But at the same time, if I see stupid shit, I'm going to call people on it, okay? I'm not going to call them directly and tell you who's doing it, but they know who they are. Okay, so I mean, and I mentioned this today in one of my, or yesterday, I should say, in one of my Instagram posts. I'm like, the good coaches, they're not going to challenge me on that post because they agree with me. They know. They know they're not going to say anything. They're just like, they're liking the post. Okay. Because they know that they don't do excessive warm-ups with their clients. They don't do excessive cool downs or play with rubber bands because they know it's a waste of time. They know it's not going to help people get results. It's just procrastination. All right. It's kind of just filling the time slot with useless exercises, if you can even call them exercises. All right. So stop wasting your time in the gym. Don't let your trainer waste your time in the gym. You're there to get results. Train your ass off, in and out. I always talk about this. Keep your workouts to a minimum 45, 50 minutes. If you're doing 60-minute workouts, that's great. Perfect. But again, keep the intensity high. Okay. Make sure that you are tracking progress or your trainer's tracking your progress and keep talking to a minimal. My recommendation, just my recommendation, if you want to get results, okay, no excessive warm-ups. Circuits have to make sense, period. That's the way it has to be, okay? Anyway, that's it for this week's Coaching Reality episode. This episode will be going up on Wednesday, May the 20th. As a reminder, if you have any questions related to your nutritional plan, your workout program, supplements you're currently taking, not taking, or considering taking, please feel free to email me at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can DM me your questions on my Instagram at fitcosgrove_. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting my YouTube channel, my online coaching business, as well as my in-house personal training business here in Vancouver, British Columbia. I truly do appreciate all the support and all the feedback that I receive from each and every single one of you. Thank you all again, and I will see you all next week. Bye for now.